How does that sound? Okay. And this is nothing but a little division, so we got that, that's easy, a little division practice. So, what do I put out here in the box for the 5C? What goes in the box? 1. Do I need any zeros in this one? Nope. So I'm just gonna write them down, bring it straight down. Here we go. Let's get ourselves warmed up, guys. Got a lot to do today. I double check my arithmetic. Does that look okay? Who am I missing here? Let's see, Nanny. Anybody else missing? Oh yeah, that whole row's missing down there.
Owen was here earlier today. I don't know where he was.
Probably PT.
He wasn't. He was in.
All right. This is what you guys got. So what do we put as the answer? 2x squared minus 6x minus 5 minus 1 over x minus 1? Does that look okay? All right, number 6. Is x minus 1 a factor of this? Why or why not? How could we tell if something is a factor? What do you mean plug it in? No, you're right. What do you plug it in?
-1 in for x.
Put what?
The -1 in for x.
No. It wouldn't be -1. It would have to be +1. So you can either plug it in, or could you also divide? Division is going to make the most sense to most of you, but either one will work out fine, guys. So here, all right, so I got a remainder of 0. If I plug in 1, I have 1 cubed minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 4, and that is going to also equal 0. So you can do either one. If you want to know if something is a factor, you can either divide out the number, or you can plug the number in. Either way, if it's a factor, you will end up with 0. If you end up with something else, then the answer is no. Okay, so what am I going to do with 6b? Same thing. If I divide, what am I dividing by? -2. If I'm plugging in, what am I plugging in? -2. Now, if you divide, be careful. I need a 0. Did you catch that? If you're doing it by division, you need a 0 in there because you don't have any x cubed. If you're plugging in -2, then you don't have to worry about it, but your arithmetic's going to be more. It's up to you, whatever you like to do. So, either I made a mistake or this is a big old fat no. Did you get -15? Now, I did it with division. Did anybody plug in? Did you get -15? Yep. Yep. So you, again, I divided out. You could plug in -2 and be your problem. So you have -2 to the 4th, and so on down the line. It'll work either way, doesn't matter. Whatever's easiest for you. Okay? Number 7. I have some big ugly polynomial here, cubic polynomial. And I know that one of the zeros is x equals 1. How many zeros are there? 3. Remember, the zeros are the dots on the number line. How many dots is this going to have? How many parentheses is this going to have? 3. I know one of them now. Any ideas on how I'll find the others? Oh, you know this. What? Divide. We're going to divide it up. Guys, last time we were together, remember how we were guessing numbers, right? And we guessed them and divided them out and tried to get a 0? Well, they have saved you the trouble. You don't have to guess. They're telling you that if you divide 1 in here, it's going to work out for you. Let's see. Does it? Yep, it sure does. Now what's left? I divided out what they told me. I divided it out, got 0. What's left? 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. Now what do we do with that? Well, good luck with that. That's what you want to try, right? I don't think that's going to work though, is it? Oh, maybe it will. Does it? I didn't think it was going to, but now that I looked at it, I think it does. Does that foil back to give me what I want? Yeah. So what are my other 2 roots? 1 was the first one. The other 2 are going to be
3x plus 1, x plus 2.
well, those are the factors. What are the roots? What are the zeros? Set these equal to 0 and solve them. What do you get? X equals what?
Negative 1/3.
Negative 1/3 and negative 2. So don't lose sight of what you were doing. You had this big thing and they gave you one of the answers. Your job was to find the other 2. So we divided out and factored what was left. If this didn't factor, or if you couldn't factor it, maybe you just don't like factoring that, what else could you do to get the other 2 roots here? I thought we were going to have to do it. Oh my gosh, you guys, how do you solve a quadratic? Use the quadratic formula. Yeah, the quadratic formula will give you the other 2 answers. If, by chance, it doesn't factor, or if you don't know how to factor. All right, 7b, same thing. We have a big polynomial. And, well, this is a big one. And they tell us that one of our answers is 8. What are we going to do? We're going to, what do I do over here? Divide. So in the box, it's going to go to 8. Look here, guys. Do you see any parentheses right here? No. So don't be changing anything. It's 8. What's going to happen when I divide? What am I going to get right here? A 0. How do I know that? Because they told me this is a 0. That's a dot on my number line. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is if you don't get 0, you have messed up. Okay? Now where do I go? They told me 8 was a root. I divided it out. I got 0, where do I go from here? X squared plus 4x minus 12. And then somehow you're going to solve that, either by factoring it or using the quadratic formula. Does this factor?
Yes.
X plus 6 minus 2? So what are the other two roots? One of them was 8. What are the other two? Negative 6 and 2? Alright, try that last one with your partner. It's exactly the same situation. Exactly. Put our attendance in.
Only today is that's what class. They're like, oh, you're gonna come as soon as we go back to the other side.
Alright, were you able to figure it out, guys?
Yep.
What did you do first? You divided. So when they give you an answer, you're going to divide it out. So you put a 3 out here and divide it. Okay. And sure enough, it worked. Okay, so then what? X squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay. Did you factor that?
Yeah, x plus 5, x plus
5 and 2. So what did you write in the answer blank?
X equals negative 5.
X equals negative 5, X equals negative 2. Everybody good with that? Pardon me? Oh, yeah, you're right. It says find the others, so that one I knew, these are the other 2 I found, but yes, there are 3 zeros to them. If you were graphing it, you would put 3 dots on the number line. All right, hang on to these notes. After you take this test, we'll start in on 2-6. So you need to keep those notes, do not lose them. Here are your practice tests. Hand back some paper. So, 2-5 homework, 2-5 will be due on Monday. Everybody got one? Okay. Take a second, we took a quiz over this, so I think you got it. But take a second and do part one while I'm handing back a few papers here. Do number one. Is it a polynomial? If not, why not?
Oh no, it's in the denominator.
Let's do a little more of our practice this, and we'll take care of any questions about the papers I just, turned back. But what did you decide with, your practice test number one here? Question A, yes or no? Yes. A is a yes. Who said no? Why do you think it's no? It's a yes. Yes for A. Now B is a no, because we are not allowed to have a variable in the denominator. C is a no, because we're not allowed to have a variable under the radical. D is a yes. D is a yes. It breaks no rules. Everybody good there? E is a no, because it has a negative exponent. Okay, everyone? Okay. All right, let's move on to number 2. We are writing the equations. And the first one, A, is linear. That means it's a line, and lines have slope. So our points are 2, 3, and 4, 9. Right? We're going to write the equation. So here we go, we're going to find the slope. 9 minus 3 over 4 minus 2. Y minus y, x minus x. So 6, 2, 3. And then what? You aren't done.
Pick a point.
Pick a point. I'll just do this when the numbers are littler. Y minus 3 equals that 3, x minus 2. So y minus this y, and then m x minus x. Did you end up with your linear function being 3x minus 3? Okay? Now, B is different. Is B a line? No. So will you do slope? No. The only time you do slope is when you're dealing with a line. Okay, this is not a line, so no slope. Instead, we have to stop and think for a second about what we know about equations of parabolas. They're squared, they have a squared in them. And we can write them two different ways. We can write a parabola equation like this. I'm just making up these numbers. But we can write one like this, or we can write one like this. Those are both parabolas, agreed? Just written differently. Now, what is nice about this bottom one? It tells us the vertex. Where's the vertex of this? 2, 5. So if I know my vertex, can I write that kind of equation to tell what that vertex is? So y equals, what would be in the parentheses if my vertex is 1, negative 2? What's going to go in there? X minus 1. And then what's going to go on the end here? Minus 2. Perfect. Now, that has a vertex of 1, negative 2. What's missing? The other number. This thing right here is missing. In my example, it was a 4, but it could be something else. How are we going to find that number? We plug in the other point. The other point they gave us, this is not the vertex. The vertex goes into the equation. This guy, you plug in 2 for y and 3 for x, and then you can work it all out and figure out what n is. Remember doing that? Hey, these are on the practice test, guaranteed test questions, you gotta be able to do it. Alright, so Q equals 3 minus 1 squared. Remember, this is multiplied. These go together, so 2 equals 4n minus 2. That's what it says. 2 equals 4n minus 2. So what am I going to do to solve that? Add 2. Oh wow, did you get 1? So we'll just go back and put 1 there, and there is our answer. So with the line problem, we start by finding the slope. With the parabola problem, we start by plugging in our vertex and creating the equation. Marley, what's the matter? You sure? Number 3, cross it off. Number 3, not on the test. Okay, cross it off. Number 4, however, is on the test. How do we find the vertex axis of symmetry and direction of opening? Negative b over 2a. X equals negative b over 2a. So problem 4a, negative b would be negative 4 over 2. Did you get x equals negative 2? Now what's that? Which blank does that go in? Axis of symmetry. So then what goes in the vertex blank? I don't know, but the x part's negative 2, right?
Then you plug it in.
And we plug it in to our equation. So, and we do that carefully. I got negative 7, but that could be wrong. Everybody got that? Perfect. And which way does this thing open? I didn't write it down, look at it. 4A is gonna open up. Right, up. Oh, there's another one, just like it. You wanna find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening for this equation. Now be really, really careful here. Something's missing out of it, right? Is it the A term, the B term, or the C term that's missing? B. There's no X, right? So when you look at an equation, it's AX squared plus BX plus C. There's no B. So when you do negative B over 2A, isn't that just gonna be 0? Because B is 0. So your vertex is 0, comma, negative 8. And which way do I open? Up. Now you need to be careful, guys, because this equation has something missing too. But what's missing in that equation? C. So you have a negative B over 2A, both parts there, right? So you have to figure that out. A is the x squared, B is the plain x, C is the number. All right, number 5, the temperature and volume. Temperature varies directly as volume. T equals kV or T equals K over V? kV. If the temperature is 10, the volume is 28. See what I did? So K equals 10 over 28. I'm just going to reduce it and say 5/14. Find the temperature when the volume is 50. So aren't I just gonna multiply my 5/14 times 50? And I did it without decimaling. I mean, I didn't put in my calculator. I got 125 over 7. If you did it on the calculator, you got 17.857, something like that.
Yep.
What would be different if it said temperature varies inversely as volume? consider this function. Find list, and that's an important word, list PRRs. Okay, what are the possible rational roots, the PRRs?
Plus or minus 6, 3.
Factors of 6 over factors of 1. So literally, that would just be plus or minus 6, 3, 2, and 1. Find the factors. All right, what are we going to do to find the factors? Choose one of them. Which one do you want to start with? Which one? 3. Uh-oh. 3's not looking too good. Another idea? 2. Oh, there we go. I think you got one there. So eventually we're going to be sketching this, so I'll go ahead and just start sketching it. That means I have a dot at 2. Where do I go now? This down here
Rewrite it.
is x squared plus 4x plus 3. Does that by any chance factor? X plus 3 plus 1, which means I have a dot at -3 and -1. So back in the beginning when we guessed 3, it didn't work, but if we would have guessed -3, it would have, because those are the 3 numbers that work. Now be careful, it says, problem B says find the factors. Are these 2 of the factors right here? They sure are. What's the third one? X minus 2, very, very good. Where did the third one come from? Our guess, right? That's why I put a dot up there. That means you have a factor that's x minus 2. All right, now we gotta connect the dots. No squaring or anything weird, so I think it's just connecting, right? Would you agree with that? Regular cube, no fancy stuff, just regular. Speaking of fancy stuff, what about number 7? Some of us are missing this. Some of you missed it on the quiz. Homework's been kind of a mess sometimes. So let's go through this carefully. Where do the dots go on the number line? At 1 and 2 and -3. Is everybody on board with that? Okay. What's the very next thing that should be entering your brain right now? How many X's do I have? How many do I have?
5.
That's odd, right? That's odd. How do odds go?
Down.
Start down, right? Odds start down. So I'm going to start down here. When I hit that dot, I have 3 choices. Keep going, bounce off, or squiggle. Look at the problem. That dot came from this factor. It is squared. So I'm going to bounce off and come down. Now, when I connect to the next dot, I have the same choice. I either just keep going, I bounce off, or I squiggle through. That one came from this factor. You gotta pay attention to where it came from. It came from there. That's also squared, so that's gonna bounce off and connect. And then here I have to make a decision again. What am I gonna do here? I'm gonna go straight through because that one came from a factor that doesn't have a power on it. So it just goes. Number 8 is the same thing, except it has to be factored first. Take a look at it. What do you notice about number 8? We can factor by grouping. On the test, I'll give you a hint. If it says find the PRRs, that means you can't group it. You're gonna have to guess. But if I don't tell you to find the PRRs, then you can group it. Could you still find the PRRs if you just love thinking about the factors of 36? Yeah, you can always do that. It's just gonna take longer. So here we go. Take out an x squared and a negative 9. See it? There we go. All factored. So, can you sketch it? I hope so. I hope you got 3 dots on the number line. Anything bouncing or anything like that? No. Alrighty, Todd, I hope you started down here and just kind of went like that. Does that look about like what you have? Anybody have a question about that? Uh-oh, number 9 says something about PRRs. That means I'm gonna have to do some guessing. What's the good news though? Yeah, there aren't very many PRRs. What are they? 1 and negative 1? All right. So we want to try negative 1. Uh-oh, I don't think that worked. Let's try 1. There it goes. 1 worked. Find the roots. One of my roots is 1. I know that because I guessed it and divided it out. All right, what do I do now? X squared, uh-oh, plus 3x plus 1. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna factor, is it? So how am I gonna find the roots? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4AC all over 2A. If you ever thought for a minute you could forget your quadratic formula, you cannot. You must remember that forever. So negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. Does that simplify it all? Nope. So one of your roots is 1, you guessed that one and divided it. The other 2 roots are right there, the ones that come out of the quadratic formula. There will be a question on your test where you need to use the quadratic formula. All right, number 10, write the equation. Don't try to do too much at once. Look at those x-intercepts. What do those x-intercepts, there are 1, 2, 3 of them, what do they tell you about your equation? You're gonna have x plus 4, x plus 1, x minus 3. Guys? Okay, let's look at our picture. I think x plus 4 I think is fine. But I think this one is gonna have to be squared. And so is this one, would you agree with that?
Yep.
And we're all done except for that leading coefficient. Just like, this is just like the Precal problem we did earlier. We don't know what that is. How are we gonna find it? We have this other random point here. So y is 10 and x is 2. Got a little bit of arithmetic here. You got it. 2 plus 4, 6. 2 plus 1 squared, so 9. 2 minus 3, negative 1 squared, so 1. 6 times 9 times 1 is 54. So 10 over 54 is 5 over 27. Don't put that in the answer blank. The answer blank is this. Your job was to write the equation. Okay, almost done, you're doing great. Number 11 is nothing but a division. So what are you gonna put out here in the box? Negative 1. And then you're gonna be really careful. 1, 0, negative 3, 8, negative 2. My guess is that you're gonna have to put a 0 in your dividend on the test. So when you have to do this division problem, please focus. All right, so negative 1, negative 1, 1, negative 2, 10, negative 10, negative 12. All right, I don't know. I'm gonna let you catch up with me. Is that okay? So I'm gonna write my answer. There's two lines there. One says quotient. What's the quotient? X to the third minus x squared minus 2x plus 10. That's the quotient. Because that guy is the remainder. And in the remainder blank, since it says remainder, you can either just put plain negative 12. Negative 12 is fine. In the blank that says remainder, negative 12. Or if you want to put negative 12 over x plus 1, that's fine too. This is the quotient with all the x's put in. That's the remainder. All right. Now, I'm going to stop there, yes, and we'll finish that tomorrow. We'll be having a test sometime at the end of next week. Did I turn back a paper that you weren't sure what you were on or you didn't know how to do it? Guys, look, we got a question about this quiz. We're finding our vertex axis of symmetry and direction of opening. So negative b over 2a would be negative 1. And then I'm going to plug that negative 1 in. So I have 3 times negative 1 squared, 6 times negative 1 plus 7. So that is 3 minus 6 plus 7. That is 4. I will see if you can figure out what you did wrong there. Is that okay? So we have to leave forward on that. Anybody else? The one problem that a bunch of you had a hard time with was graphing this guy. And this was on the 2-3 homework. And what you didn't pay attention to was this. That's an X. What does that mean? That means he's a dot. So this one has 3 dots. There's a dot at 0, a dot at negative 3, and another dot at 4. It's a negative.
All right, we go one more day till we hit fall break. Now, as we come to the end of the day, let us pray and fully cross and Cathedral Six. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, hail the cross. With her leading,
We shall not tire.
Our Lady of the Hill. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Last message. Go in peace.
See you tomorrow.